down to flush them out. We don't play it with it.
Welcome to the Hearts of Men podcast, a journey into the depths of men's hearts where courage meets vulnerability and wisdom embraces integrity. In a world that often measures a man by his outer achievements, this podcast dares to explore what truly defines a man of character. We unpack the challenges and triumphs that shape men's lives, bringing to light stories of resilience, compassion, and unshakable faith. We believe that the heart of a man is a treasure trove of untold stories, powerful lessons, and profound wisdom. Through authentic dialogues and insightful discussions, we aim to unlock these treasures, one story at a time. So, whether you're seeking guidance, inspiration, or simply a moment of reflection, you're in the right place. Get ready to be challenged, inspired, and transformed. And now, to guide you through this journey of discovery, please welcome your host, a visionary leader and a true catalyst for change, Dwayne Dwyer, but we affectionately know him as the Mindset Coach.
Good evening, family. I am not Dwayne Dwyer, the Mindset Coach. I am the son of Timothy, also known as the Available Man, and I am your host for this evening for our conversation, of how delayed gratification does not work unless you do this. So this conversation, I believe, is going to be a good conversation. I am joined here with my big brothers, from another mother and daddy, but they're still my brothers, right? I don't know. Right next to me is the man that you heard in the intro, the man, the myth, the legend himself, one of the bearded goats up here, Dr. Dwayne Dwyer, also known as the Mindset Coach. And below us is my big brother, the other bearded goat. He might win, take the cake for the beard. But anyway, poor man's Dr. Field, also known as Shift Happens. How are you brothers doing this evening?
I'm still trying to get over that daddy comment, man. I'm stuck right now.
Yeah, he slid that in and just kept it moving. I said I wasn't gonna mess with it. I'm trying not to be petty. I'm like, I'm gonna let that slide today till we get off and be talking later. But yeah, man, all right. And it's been a long week, but it's been a gratifying week since we talked about gratification. So yeah.
I like that. I see what you did there. I mean, hey man, like I always say, man, it's a good week. A lot of us was off work for a few days. Got the opportunity to spend some time with some family and friends and loved ones and all that other great stuff. And then here it is, a Friday night. Again, another opportunity to share in conversation with my brothers. And again, like we like to say, the livest chat and social media. So I just want to make sure I say that.
The livest chat. With that said, let's see if I can do this tonight. So we're gonna give our shout outs while we can. Listen, before I even start shouting it out, if you are viewing on any platform, wherever you at, Facebook, LinkedIn, I don't know if you're on Instagram, YouTube, go ahead and get in the chat so we can recognize you, we can see you, we can shout you out. So from the top, it's our sister, Miss Crystal Everett. Good evening. Nick D. I'm sorry, the rebirth of Nick D. His divine appointment was going on, big sis. What's going on? Who else we got in here? Lisa Keys, always with it, giving us keys and gems every time she in the chat. Yes, it's Maya, right? Charlotte Jordan, it's always great to see you. Who else we got in here? And the rest of it is us. If you out there, go ahead and jump in the chat. I think I see how you say Fill a gang B. Hoorah! It's good to see you. Welcome to the chat. Go ahead and keep engaging. We'd love to see, if you haven't already, go ahead and hit the like button. If you're new, go ahead and hit that follow and that like. Subscribe to the channel so we can continue to grow. All right. With that said, let's go ahead and get started. So today conversation, I think I've had this conversation before in the past, but from a different angle. Too often I think we move in a space of impulse. And so we go for what is right in front of us. Some would say the guaranteed win versus sacrificing or versus putting things on the line for later. And sometimes that wait comes with greater reward. But instant gratification seems to be the theme of our current state. TikToks, 30-second videos. YouTube have long videos, but you can scroll through the shorts. We can do the same thing on multiple apps, on Facebook, on all these other apps, which has created this culture of instant gratification. If it's too long, if they're talking too much, I could scroll on through and get to the next video. I don't have to wait for services. Most people have Prime, where they select items that's going to be shipped the next day, and if we have to wait 3 to 5 business days, that tends to be a problem. We don't want those things, right? We have to learn how to balance these things. And so in today's conversation, we're going to talk about, how do we balance from instant gratification to delayed gratification, all right? So the famous Stanford marshmallow experiment in the 1970s found that children who use delayed gratification tend to have better life outcomes in areas such as academics and stress management. Also, research shows that delayed gratification is not just willpower. It's influenced by trust, environment, perceived stability, while neuroscience links delayed gratification to the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that is responsible for planning and decision making. All right. So, brothers, as we get into this conversation, let me throw out, I don't know, do we have the definition in here? I want to put up this definition, but please remember that marshmallow information, that information I put out, some of it's going to come up. But the definition we have for delayed gratification is the ability to resist an immediate reward in favor of a larger or more meaningful reward later. It is considered a core component of self-control and emotional regulation. Just on that definition, do you have any takeaway ads, anything you like, or? We all good? All right. So our first point of conversation tonight is going to be the psychology of delayed gratification. Right. And we kind of talked a little bit about, I kind of talked a little bit about the marshmallow experiment. Right. And I'll read it again just in case it ran past us, but it said it found that children who use delayed gratification tend to have better life outcomes in areas as academic, stress management. There were also studies that showed that delayed gratification wasn't just willpower. but also it's influenced by trust, environment, and perceived stability. Um, so with that said, going into our question, my first question for tonight is what do you think influences a person's ability to delay gratification more significantly? Would you believe it's personality or environment?
Well, you asked a question, then you gave two specifics, and I'm going with neither of those because I think we live in an environment where since late 70s or so, it was a big push, early 80s on like fast food and instant gratification, the microwave. And I remember when we didn't have a microwave. I remember when you used the oven, and everything started to center around getting it quick. I remember when we used to get a TV dinner, just make sure you turn it and crack that ice in the middle and spin it again, flip it over. And that was instant gratification. But everything led to, okay, quicker, faster, more in a hurry. So I think that the psychology of it is that we tend to make it where our children grow up to become adults who need it now. We even got commercials. I think it's JG Wentworth or something like that. And that becomes the norm, and people have less discipline and less self-control.
Yeah, I'm right there. I'm in line with what he is saying. But I also got to say it's a combination of both. I think it's both of them, right? Sure, personality, a person's personal reality, right? How they view the world, the things that they're taught. Are they taught, are they taught delayed gratification, or is it instant gratification? Does mom and daddy still ruminate based upon how they were raised, and then for their, through their lens, they're not going to withhold any good thing, quote unquote, from their child. Not necessarily teaching them to have patience and work hard, stay committed to the things that you give your word and doing, stuff of that nature. And so ideally what that ends up doing is it creates a mindset moving forward. So kind of like what Roland said, it gets to the point to where you now have adults who want it instantly. They need to see the results overnight. But then it also has to do with environment as well. I can't say that environment has absolutely nothing to do with that, because when you look at socioeconomic status, it's almost as though an individual who was raised in a particular area who struggled, I say it that way, struggled, lived, and they seen mom and daddy making ends meet, things of that nature. And then when they get older, now on the other side of it, I'm not going to live that way. If I make $100, I'm gonna spend 99.5, and I'm gonna save 50 cents to the next payday. But then that also, the other side of that can be available to where in their mind, they don't ever want to live their life according to what they've seen growing up. So I think all of these things, because when we start talking, human behavior, it's a complex ecosystem. It's not just one answer or the other. And so you got to look at all different facets of human connectivity and start looking at how they actually influence. So that's why I say, when you asked the question, I started nodding my head. Yes, it's those things, but the complexity of those things as well.
I definitely agree. I like how both of y'all answers kind of work together in harmony, because it's all of it. More significantly, I think, because everything that Roland said leads me to say environment more significantly, because there, with so much instant gratification being more prevalent and more prevalent, someone put in the chat and said, "Hey, now we got the air fryer. You ain't even got to put the grease on the stove no more." All right, Ms. Robin, welcome to the conversation tonight. It's good to see you. But yeah, we ain't got to. You ain't Big Mama ain't in there flipping chicken no more. They put that thing in the air fryer and everything, But and what's the end goal? I look at, like, I don't know anybody remembers this movie. It's one of my favorites back in the day. But The Fifth Element. Remember, she go in there, put the thing in there, boop, 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 boop. Got a whole chicken. Done. She put something this small. Like, is that where we're going? And that's what it seems like, right? Instant gratification. So I think it takes a level of environment and upbringing to kind of so when coach talks about the complexities, yes, because I also believe the personality is also partially shaped in the environment, and so it, it's all inclusive, I guess, when you get to the nitty of it. Um, but that's how I look at it. Let's see. Do we have any answers? Rebirth the Nick D. She said, I had to learn to practice delayed gratification with my children. I was one who would give them whatever they wanted because I did not have that growing up. And I think a lot of us deal with that. So with that, I was like, to my older brothers who got kids older than mine, so I'm on my way to where y'all going. Like, how do we combat that? How do we combat that in ourselves? The desire to want to give, because I think it was Dwayne who brought up, not withholding any good thing because we felt like we couldn't get to that stuff growing up. We didn't have the means. So how do we balance not forcing our kids to struggle unnecessarily, but also teaching them?
I think every parent, and this is why I have my own philosophy when it comes to parenting. I think every parent has to go through a cycle of unlearning and relearning, right? You got to unlearn the thing that you've seen, even especially if the thing that you've seen was bad, it wasn't profitable, whatever that looks like. You have to unlearn that learned behavior that you knew prior to, and then learn something different moving forward. So now, what does the environment that you grew up in, the things that you've seen, the behaviors that you were forced to adopt and shoulder simply because at the end of the day, mom and dad didn't really have it. So now the adverse of it is us overcorrecting and going all the way to the other extreme and saying, okay, well, since this was the case, X, Y, and Z. So how do I combat that? Recognizing that correction is correction and not overcorrection. We get to the point of overcorrecting, we're overcorrecting to the other extreme, and the other extreme is just as bad as the first. But make the micro adjustment to such a degree to where, yeah, I'm not going to tell them no all the time, but no is actually good for them, and it helps them with the resiliency factor as well.
I think establishing, finding the purpose. We all got books. It starts with why and all that. What's your why? I think when you're dishing out punishment or you're dishing out something, you got to have a reason behind it. So if you're saying, okay, I want to give them everything that I didn't have, why? Is it a lack that you still hold in your mind and you're holding on to something saying, if I had this, I would have been, and now you're trying to catapult them into something better, or you just want them to have the things that you didn't because you wanted to be that spoiled child that you've seen on TV. You wanted to have every toy. And that's like my grandson. He gets whatever he wants throughout the year. So came time this year, they like, hey, what you want? He like, I don't want nothing. Why should he? Because he get everything he want every week. So he doesn't have to wait for anything. It builds a person's character when they have to wait. When they have to say, okay, let me maintain my grades. Let me maintain my discipline so that I can attain what I'm trying to get to. But we rather just give because of the lack and the scarcity mindset that we still hold on to, yet we try to act as if we don't.
I like that. I like both of those answers, but yeah, but that's the struggle right there where you ended off, because I think when we look at a lot of our character building, it goes, like Dwayne said, there's two extremes we look at, right? I look at my kids sometime and I'm like, man, they soft because they didn't go through what I went through. And it's like, man, I want to create struggle to make them hard. Like I want to make them, they need to feel some sort of resistance in life because not having and learning how to go get kind of created this grit in our, not say our generation, because minor differences. I got technology in my teenage years. Y'all got it in your 50s. But My bad. 20s. My bad. That was 2 tonight before the camera. My bad. I'm done. I'm a dial back. But
let the pettiness begin.
but I want to create like a sense of struggle environment, but I don't want them to have to live in the struggle I lived in, And so that's what it. And so, but the other extreme sometimes is I don't look at the things I didn't have as a source of character building. It was mom and daddy was poor. We couldn't afford it. I can afford it, so I'm gonna give it to them. Like, so that's to me. That's what I'm finding that balance. And so I want them to enjoy the things I wasn't able to enjoy, but I want them to understand that life is not about. It's not going to give you everything you want just because I can afford it. So, they just like I give, I could take it away. So the things they have, I could limit or restrict access to it. But yes,
hey, we know you meant that because you spoke in old English.
Right. You know how they used to do.
And brother, I can take it away.
Hey, better than what our mama used to say. I bought you in this world. Like, okay, tracking.
But so there's also the notion of the need to put a label or a title or identifying marker on a thing because it was a thing. I think whether mom and daddy was poor is totally irrelevant. It is what it is. That's the life that I had. When I start putting markers on it, I start identifying it as a thing. Now it gives me permission to feel a particular way about that thing. So if we lose the need to label it and just recognize, like, look, I got it. These are the things I went through. And because of that, X, Y, Z, I either like it or I don't like it. I'm going to bring some of those things into my current life as an adult, as a young parent, or I won't. I like waking up on Saturday mornings and everybody focus on cleaning the house before we leave the house, or not. You clean as you go throughout the week so that Saturday morning we got less work to do. However you do it, right? That's your choice. But make sure that the way that you tend to do it is advantageous to the child.
Yes. And then I just want to point out one more thing Roland said as well, which was the why. Because I think that's a thing that at least for me, early on, I try to keep in my head. I may not have done everything right, but in the back of my mind has always been why am I giving? Why am I withholding? Why am I chastising? What is the character building that I'm building? And so when we talk about building framework for things like delayed gratification, it's intentional parenting. I don't discipline because I'm angry. I discipline because character building, because there's a lesson to be learned. So I do appreciate you, brothers, for them gems. Next question on this one is: do you believe the marshmallow experiment still holds up in today's world? As far as, do you believe that delayed gratification still is a key element to success in things like academia, stress management, and then areas such as that?
Simple answer, yes. I think all information that's available is relevant to progression if we take it as such. I think one of the problems that we run into is that we may feel we know about that much about a thing, and then what ends up happening is that gives us permission to reject or deny something that may causes me to look at it and question what I'm thinking. So when you look at this information, regardless of when it took place, we're still talking about human behavior. If there was a test that took place that measured the response of a human and their behaving based upon a certain set of injects and how they responded, that's evidence that we can use moving forward. It doesn't matter if we're talking marshmallows or we're talking, I don't know, what do you call the little weekly thing you give kids? I can't even say it. It's such an abomination. The money thing you give them every week. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
Allowance?
Yeah, that thing right there.
He said abomination.
Yeah, that abomination right there. Like, I'm gonna give you $100 just for living in the house and I take care of you and provide you with everything you need anyway. What am I teaching my child when I do that? Like, if I'm not giving them something to learn, like going back to the point, like if I'm not giving you something to learn, something to develop you, something to help you to grow, something that sharpens, right? Even in the whole allowance piece, can I change the narrative and turn that into an aspect of delayed gratification? Absolutely. I can give you a task. I'm not talking about cutting the grass. You're going to cut the grass because you live here. I can give you a task to do, something that makes you a better person in life. And then at the end of completing that task, you come talk to me. I'll give you an example what I did with my son. Go get one of these books off my bookshelf, come sit down and talk with me, right? Now, after we talk about that, after I understand you read the book, you grasp a couple of key principles from that book, okay, cool. At the end of that book, you get $50. That's what it was back then. And so what has that done? Well, now at the age of 21, he is hunting Airbnb. Why? Because one of the first books he read was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So when we look at these different aspects of information that influence human, absolutely, they all matter. And the only thing you have to do is find a way to inject it into your parenting style. So again, like I said, it's better for the kid.
I think we have damaged our kids with this whole, because we watch TV. So everybody say, oh, you got to get allowance at the end of the week. We have. And I got a 14, about to be 14 next month, year old in the house. And he was like, hey, what can I do to make some money? And, I clean my room. I do. And I'm like, coach, that's what you're supposed to do. Like you live here. That's part of, being team us. You don't get nothing for doing what you're supposed to do. And so he wanted to waste his money. He didn't want to waste his money. He wanted to go get some food, fast food, and he wanted to waste his money because he thought he was going to waste my money. I said, how much you got? He told me $9. We pulled up, and the person asked for, I paid with my card. I said, give me that $9. Because I wanted him to understand that, dude, this going to cost you when you want to take the quick route out. You got groceries, got food at the house, but yet you rather take the quick and easy way out because you don't want to take time to wait for anything to be cooked. You don't want to, it's like, so if we say, okay, you get this now and then we get this later, all we're doing is promising them less discipline later. We established the less discipline. Well, I don't want to wait now. Now they pout. Now they're holding you to the minimalist standards of being a parent that you've already established. You've established, hey, this is a bartering thing instead of this is a teamwork effort. So if you say, nip that in the bud, I ain't got to give you a dime. Hey, let's work together. How can we grow together? But instead of that, we like to push them to the point where if you do what I want you to do, I will pay you for it. And that's damaging to them now as well as to when they become adults.
Absolutely. I remember, now granted, I grew up in a larger city than where my kids are growing up, but allowance, that was cool for the Huxtables. That wasn't cool for the Gaddies. I'll tell you that. We used to go down the street after school, go to the Associates, which was a supermarket in New York, one of the many supermarkets. We packed bags for tips. That's what you did. Just stand in line, and when a thing open up, you go. The race open up, you go. You pack bags. You help them carry the bags outside if they had a car. Now wasn't that often, all right? If not, help them put it in their shop cart and push it off. That's how I kept money in my pocket. During the wintertime when it snowed on a snow day, we put on extra layers of clothes, grabbed some shovels, went outside, went to the houses, and knock on. Sometimes you had to climb the snow just to get to the door, so you can knock on the door. Hey, can I clear your doorway? Can I clear your walkway? Can I clear your stairs? And we charge them for the walkway, charge them for the driveway, charge them for the car. We made money. Like, so the concept of getting an allowance to clean my room, that's crazy. It's my room. What do you mean? Allowance to, we didn't cut grass. I lived in the housing projects. We didn't have the grass was cut by the city. But to do household chores, if I'd have asked my mama for $1 to do a household chore, she'd have put $1 underneath my pillow where the teeth she knocked out be, waiting for the tooth fairy. That's where I would have got my dollars. So just being honest. Well, so I agree. Um, Man, shovel walkways was a way of living. That's right. That's right. And I apologize. I'm not if I'm not fast enough in there.
And why you looking like I think we were like 10 going to get paper routes. We had paper routes. We going to throw them papers, and even though where I'm from, we would get robbed every other month. We'll say we got robbed so we can keep a little extra money or whatever. But we had to have some type of get up and go because nobody was gonna give it to us. So I think when we came up, we say, man, I'm gonna give them so they don't have to do. But what that established is some lazy kids. Then them lazy kids became lazy adults. And then you wondering why they shiftless. They shiftless because you taught them to be.
I'm so glad you said that word twice, man, because I heard something else. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, I almost looked over. I'm like, let me not look, because maybe nobody else heard it. But then he said it twice. Yeah, man. And you right, Coach. Y'all pack groceries. We pack bags. You know. He said, "I'm telling my who is it? Ms. Robin said, I'm telling my age. We cashed in pop bottles for extra cash, and did. You ain't telling your age because we did it. We grab your trash bag, fill them up with the bottles, take it to the. Now, by the time, I don't know how it worked out for y'all, but the supermarkets had machines. We'll put the big bottles in one machine, the cans in one machine, and they give us receipts. We had to take the receipts. I did this as a teenager. We take that inside to the supermarket, and they'll give us the cash.
Hey, I greatly appreciate this trip down memory lane and all, but that ain't got nothing but delayed gratification right there.
But yeah. But yeah, just talking about the earning it part. Yeah. All right, next question in this topic. We're actually moving along. In your opinion, can delayed gratification be taught or is it innate? And I think we kind of hit it, but
I think it's a learned behavior. I don't think it's just innate in a person, because you can put a person in whatever environment, doesn't mean that they will respond the same way with the same trappings, with the same whatever it is. If you spoon feed a child, the child gonna respond accordingly. It's gonna wait for you to spoon feed them. But if you give them the tools to put something together, that's what they'll do. So I think that it's one of those things that's taught. I think that is taught by his coach, and you guys were saying earlier, bring in your environment, bring in whomever is around you. It's like I've always had a hustler's mentality because I grew up around a bunch of hustlers. So delayed gratification, you're not getting it now. So you gotta establish a sense of discipline to maintain until you do. That's why I said the why. You gotta maintain a sense of discipline to get where you're going.
Yeah, this is going to sound kind of like my answer from previously. It's both. There are certain things that I can teach. And in my mind, I would like for you to learn the lesson at the level in which I'm teaching it. But here's the reality of the truth. I am teaching that lesson through the lens of my current level of awareness. They're receiving that lesson through the lens of their current level of awareness. So even though they're getting that lesson, they still have to go out there and put it to practice. So now, just like I talked about my son, now he is putting in the practice the thing that he learned, the thing that we talked about stemming from Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and whatever it is he gained in between that, right? But there is going to be a process before he get to the harvest. That space in there is called time. So now, in the space of time, he is actually going to learn an additional lesson that's specifically for him that goes along with the lesson that he got before. So now the culmination of all of this equates to the delay in the process. So he'll get accustomed to, based upon what he learned, he'll get accustomed to the delay. So there are some things that I can teach, and it could be instant gratification based upon it. There's some things that I can teach is going to be delayed gratification based upon their understanding, but then what the environment shows to him based upon that lesson that he is trying to put into practice, there's going to be a gratification that he learns there as well. So I think it's both. It can be teach and in it and it's going to be innate, not innate to the person, innate to the environment in which he goes to apply it.
Ooh, I thought I was going to have another question following. I'm glad you said that at the end. Innate to the environment. I do believe certain environments breed certain characteristics across the board, and it's just obvious. Like sometimes you can look at somebody and be like, you from Georgia, ain't you? Because the South is the South, but Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, all three are distinct, and you see certain traits from people from both places. South Carolina is very different than North Carolina, and so and even certain parts of it, right? Because you identify certain people sometimes that are from major cities based on those major cities. Like someone from Detroit is going to be different than someone from New York, even though experiences are the same. But that environment definitely have some traits that it brings just by the nature of where it is or what it is. So I do agree. I agree with both answers. Can we bring up the next comment, please? Miss Nodella said it's definitely both, and it's up to the individual as to whether they gravitate to which one will be their preference.
See, I'm stuck there because and the reason I'm stuck is because innate means from birth, and from birth it's a clean slate. Ain't no laziness, ain't no get up and drive, ain't no get up and go, anything like that. Those are things like I think in your explanation you said it was environment, and that's like a learned thing. So that's why I'm kind of offset with that one.
Sure, it can. So you're looking at environment as according to how the person responds to it, right? I'm looking at environment as the natural order, the processes, right? So, case in point, I can go out back right now and take, I don't know, go plant a tree. That tree ain't gonna grow up overnight. It's going to be subject to what the environment it is in and how it grows. So that's what I'm saying, innate to the environment. Even with that statement that Nodella said, your personal preference, you can want all day long, but the environment gets a vote. And trust me, your wants will never supersede the environment. The environment will always abide to universal law. Universal law supersedes my preference. So until I learn the lesson that I'm supposed to learn at any given level that I'm in, the environment will respond based upon what I inject in the environment. Then one day it shows up and it says, and it's going, and I'm going to realize, you know what? I can't keep doing the same thing, even though the thing that I'm doing is my preference, and that environment is going to change and line up with my preference. No, that environment is going to yield to the law that governs that environment. So now I have to adjust. I have to change according to that environment. So that's why I say it is innate to the environment.
Yeah, I knew where you was going with that, bro. But even with everything you said, Coach, I still think that there are, and y'all could correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that there are personality traits that are in us, right, that we're born with, and so sometimes personality traits can create an ability to gravitate towards one teaching or another more easily, right? So there may be, and I'm not an expert in this area, so a lot of it is speculation as I'm saying it, right? But I just believe like there's a character trait that allows me to move towards delayed gratification a little more easily. But they tell us there's a trait that'll lead us to addiction more easily, which is more dopamine fixes, right? So I'm looking at it from that aspect, right? Like, not that it's a guarantee that you will, but so there is a at least a minor aspect of innate that plays a part in what we take on. So I'm not too. I guess that's why I'm not beating up too much on the word preference, uh, but it has to be taught. I have to have something presented in order for me to have a preference. All right, preference between what? If all I have is one option, I don't have a preference. But if I have, but if I'm taught a thing, then there's a preference to do or not to do. All right, so that's where I think environment meets innate.
I don't think you're saying anything like I'm listening to everything that you're saying, and I'm trying to see the difference in what you're saying and what I said previously.
I
Because
don't
what I
think.
said, right, that's what I'm saying. And I'm not sure if what he was saying is that I see it differently. And that's why I was saying I don't it's okay to see it differently, but I'm not seeing what you said was different than what I said. Because what I said is there's some things that are going to be taught, and there's some things are going to be that's innate to the environment. And so when we look at that, sure, I can go out there and like, teach, I don't know, my son how to drive a car, and he picks it up because he had a desire to want to drive. So his desire to want to drive and get out the house and chauffeur himself around and go pick up his little honey or whatever, like sure, that might be an intrinsic motivator for him to learn how to drive. To where on the other hand, my daughter be like, yeah, I don't want to drive. I just want y'all to take me over. Well, she's not going to be so apt to want to learn. So I think both of those things are true.
I agree. Okay, maybe it's just the way I was looking at it as you were saying it versus yeah. I agree. Um, Before we move on, we bring up his divine appointment. The one she said most skills, and I like this comment. She said most skills are taught. Some people have a naturally more active hot system, which uh, I can't even speak right now, which processes emotions and immediate desires. Um, and I think we were we we were kind of there, kind of talk about some of the innate things, right? Uh, but most skills are taught, even with natural abilities or even with some of the innate characteristics. The skills is still taught, right? LeBron James is one of the most naturally gifted athletes. I think I've been able to see, but somebody still had to teach him how to shoot the ball, how to dribble, how to see the game. So it definitely meets. You have something, Ro? All right, all right. Moving on to the next topic. Delayed gratification in the age of instant everything. We kind of hit it, but some of the facts, right? A study shows that average attention spans have decreased in the last decade, partly due to constant digital stimulation, such as social media platforms, which are designed around instant feedback loops, like likes, comments, notifications, um, and the rise of same day delivery, streaming and on demand services has normalized immediate access to entertainment and goods. Um, with that said, our first question is how do you believe technology has made delayed gratification harder or just different?
I wouldn't say. I believe. I believe that we're quick to blame technology for everything, and technology is simply a tool that allows us to do the thing that we already were doing anyway at a faster rate. Social media is just a tool to do the thing that in our younger days we used to go outside and do. Now we can do it in the comforts of our own home, and you can be halfway across the world and we can connect. Back when I was growing up, you had to go outside and play. That's how we connected. So I don't think technology makes it harder. However, I think technology exacerbates the thing that already is there.
Yes.
So now what do I mean when I say that? That means that if I'm a person and I just want to be liked, I just want you to like me, then on social media it's going to be 10 times worse. I'm gonna put a post out there and I'm probably gonna check it every 5 minutes. How many people, how many likes I got so far? How many likes I got so far? Right. So it exacerbates what already exists. I also think because to some degree, and there have been some studies done on this as well, to some degree, even though we call it social media, it is literally making us less social. So in all actuality, we can get behind this thing and be whoever it is I want to be, and no one on here can tell me whether or not that's a true, authentic person until they spend a significant amount of time with me and see if there's any change on social media. Or are they only talking on social media, or do they talk in these environments, or whatever the case may be? So again, going back to where we were growing up, we will go outside, we will play, we will connect with one another, and it will be easier to tell if this person is being authentic or they're just putting on a facade because Roland showed up and Roland got on the brand new kicks and he got the triple fat goose. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Stop playing. I had the triple fat goose on. And so I want that too. So I'm gonna go hang out with Ro because Ro cool, right? Gaddy be like, man, you wasn't acting like that last week. So when Ro show up, now you acting like that. So you can get to understanding who that person is at a more rapid rate. Again, social media is a tool. And I think it exacerbates what already exists in us. So ideally, what we have to do is the same thing you're supposed to be doing anyway. You need to scan ourselves and make sure that we truly understand not only who we're presenting in the environment, but also understand what the environment is telling us about ourselves.
Can I see the question again? How has technology made delayed gratification harder or just different? I don't think I'm with Coach. I don't think it's the technology because the technology is an enhancement. But what we do is we take the enhancement and make it the whole. So, you supposed to be teaching my kids. We had an abacus. When we had to do math, we had an abacus. And then we couldn't even use calculators or anything like that. So what we want to do is we want to establish that, no, it was hard for us because we had to do this. And we had to do long division and we had to do, and then when my kids went to school, they had to do a certain thing. So I think it can make us lazy and dependent on the technology. And I think that's where the problem is. Whereas if we use it properly for a period of time to learn something, to do something, then it's an enhancement versus us just using it to get to our end goal. And see, and that's where we need to be. It's neither, it's kind of both, but it depends on the person so that we can establish that discipline. That's what it boils down to. Establish the discipline in self. Because if you don't have discipline and you're constantly flicking the TV and you're constantly on your phone, what your kids gonna do? Give me the iPad. Let me see your phone. And then they get worse and worse and worse.
I'm over here debating in my mind if I agree or disagree. Because and here's why I say that, because I do agree that there is human responsibility with everything, right? But then I like to go shopping. And so when I think about like instant gratification, I can click on a thing on Amazon and get it tomorrow or get it in 2 days for free, depending on what it is, right? Because I got Prime. Or I can go to the mall and go to 4 different stores till I find the one that I'm looking for versus scrolling through the options online, right? And so instant gratification tells me to go on Amazon. I become addicted to the easy route. And so so now the idea of going out and looking for the pair of shoes or looking for a shirt or going to Ross to see if they got certain type of or whatever the case may be, it's easier to say I'm not going out the house and I'm not going to do a thing. So I think it creates this habit to where I'm like, well, what else can I do instantly without having to go outside the house? What else can I do from my computer, from my phone? And, we start looking at these options. So the concept, and it's not that it makes me, that is what makes me lazy, but that idea now of delayed gratification kind of fades away with the idea of instant access. At least the way I'm thinking, the way I see it.
Say that last part again, because I think you. The idea of delayed gratification. I just wanted to say it to make sure I heard you right. The idea of delayed gratification fades away because of instant access.
Yes.
Okay. So were you the type of person that used to go to the store? Like, did you go to the store and like go to the store and like walking through the mall, and if this didn't have what you want, you'll go to another store and walk through that, and because you know that was you?
Well, that's what the girls was at.
No. I'm asking, did you like doing that? I ain't asked about the girls. I'm talking about when you wanted shoes, you was going to look for your kicks. Did you like going from store to store until you found the one that you like?
I don't think that's a fair question because I don't know. Like, did you like doing it? I had no other option.
You gotta treat him like you can't handle the truth.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes or no, man? No.
So option or no option. Did you enjoy doing it?
It was just what we did. It was just life.
I get it. I get it.
I don't like. To me, I don't think that is a fair.
Okay, well, let me make it make sense by putting me into that. I hated it. I hated it before it became a thing. Like I'm that person. Like when I was married, my wife was that person that would go to a store. Say she in her mind, she told me we just gonna go to the store. I just want me a pair of jeans. We're gonna visit 5 stores, bro. 5 stores. We started off in this store, go to this store, go to this store, go to this store, and then lastly, it's about 4 hours later now. We go to this store, and then once she get in this store, she realized the one she want is in this store. So we go all the way back to the first store. I despise that. I hated that. So when the ability to order online from the comforts of my own, I was that guy. It's almost like they knew my name. So that's what I'm saying. Like I got what you're saying, and you know whether it was the only option we had, sure. That was I still didn't like it, even though it was the only option I had. So when this option came up and I can save time, I don't have to go spend hours in the store. I'm doing that all day long. My time is more valuable than that little bit of change I'm about to spend.
I don't know. It was something about trying on my kicks before I put them on. It was something about going to Hollywood videos and seeing what they had for rent and see if they had like now, like it was cool. I didn't mind it. Now when you start talking about going to the store with my mama, my sisters, my girlfriend, my wife, no, you what should have been a 20-minute store run turned into an all-day event, and you come home when the sun go down.
5 minutes on the internet.
I get that.
I'm just saying.
I get that. But it still don't. To me, it doesn't defeat the fact that we lose the idea of delayed gratification with time. The more and more things become instant access.
See, I don't think that's and this is why I asked the question in the beginning. I don't think that's a true depiction of delayed gratification. I think delayed gratification is the fact that it's on the internet, and I just identify I want a pair of shoes today, but I don't necessarily feel a need to go get it today. I get it when I get ready to do it. So I'm not drawn to it just because I had the thought of it. That would be more of a delay to me. And you guys tell me if I'm wrong. That would be more of an accurate depiction of delayed gratification when something is readily available at any given point in time. So do I need it right now? Yes or no? If the answer is no, I don't need to rush to get it. I get it when I get ready to. I agree. More convenient.
It is more convenient, but I think saying that is more. I mean, I'm saying all these things, but at the same token, and I'm looking at my evidence right in front of me, right? At the same token, I'm looking at business owners and supervisors and retired personnel who stayed the course, of a career, to get an end goal, right? So that's delayed gratification in and of itself. But I think the difference is we're speaking to a generation who went through forced delayed gratification, versus a generation who's going to be raised off, like you talk about food rolling. I was raised off the microwave. Well, I'm lying. The microwave era. but we couldn't afford it, so we was putting it in the oven. But you know what I mean? Like I was raised off of the microwave era, so.
Yeah, think about your stores. Your stores, they used to be called convenience stores, where it wasn't a grocery store, but it's something you can hop in and out, may pay a little more, but it's right around the corner. Now they got a Family Dollar or whatever, the Dollar General right around up the street, and you can go get what you need quickly and not have to go into the city and go deal with a bunch of people. And society messes with the psyche of a person to make them think, hey, if I do it this way, I'm better off, so that you can go and get your little whatever and not have to do strenuous labor, not have to walk around 5 different stores.
I agree with Lisa. She said, I hear preference. So I guess that's where we land. Right. I like shopping for certain things online, but I like walking around Lowe's. I like seeing what's in the hardware store, the super hardware store. I like walking around. So I don't know. Projects, because sometimes I want to do a project. I want to do something. Online, I'm not going to think of that project. I'm just going to get what I know I need. When I walk through Lowe's, I get my ideas. So, but that's preference. That's Gaddy, Well,
no, Mike, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, because I'm sure it's preference, but if I invest in the stock market, is that still not a preference?
Yeah.
Is that also evidence of me understanding that this is for the long game, delayed gratification?
Depending on how you play the market, yeah.
No.
What do you mean?
Stock market is long game. Lottery ticket are short game.
Not all stocks are long game. Some people jump into options late so that they don't.
Now you're talking people. So we talking about what the purpose is.
Preference, but when we talk about preference, like even in the stock market, not all stocks are like you're gonna play the long game with certain stocks. You're gonna buy it for a long haul. Some stocks, some penny stocks, you buy them, you put a lot of money down to get a quick increase, and you sell. It depends on how you play the market.
That's still long game. But I get you.
Yeah. We're splitting hairs at this point.
I guess when I think of long term, I'm thinking of something I'm putting my money in and I'm keeping it there, not moving it.
Well, that's why it's play the stock market, because it's
Yeah, that's why you're never mind. We'll talk. We'll talk finances.
That's a back office. I see, but that's preference. Of how you play it.
But that's the point that I'm saying. Just because it's preference does not necessarily mean it's not delayed gratification.
Yeah.
Two things can be true at the same time.
Yeah, that's why I brought up preference, because that's what I instead of, because I was looking at, it's not a disagreement. I just think it's preference don't mean that. Yeah, I'm agreeing there.
Right.
And I think it's easy to get caught up when you're talking about buying something versus you actually working towards something. So you can get caught up on, well, I don't want to do this. I like that. But when you're talking about actually putting work ethic into something, then you can actually see the delayed gratification versus, hey, I didn't want to go shop for them shoes. Let me go order them online.
Right. Got Lisa up here laughing at us now. Right.
She done threw you off track. That's what it was.
All right. Moving on. Yeah, so coming from the conversation we just had, I was going to skip this one, but from the conversation we had, this should be quick. So, do you think that is an unfair stereotype that the younger generation struggle more with waiting?
I can't say, number one, that the younger generation struggle more. I think we want to believe that, because they didn't do it the way that we're doing it. They're not doing it the way that we're doing it. I think we believe that we have all the right answers for that generation when we are the generation that literally told our parents that they didn't have all the right answers for us. Times change. technology adds to different, like one point in time, college degree was the goal, right? Now certifications is the goal, right? You get a certification, and that gets you into the market to make a larger amount of money at a more rapid rate. None of us had the opportunity in our 20s to go and get a cybersecurity degree. That wasn't a thing, or cybersecurity certification. So I think the perception of that being reality might be a little skewed based upon our interpretation of what they should be doing or how they should be doing a thing. Is there some evidence to support? Yeah, absolutely. There's a few of them out there to where we look at it and they're struggling with life. But guess what? Go back and look at our generation. I guarantee you'll see the exact same thing in our generation as well. So there's going to be evidence from generation to generation to generation to generation that says that this is a true statement. But there's also evidence from generation to generation to generation that also says that this is not a true statement. I think all of this is just evidence of what it looks like in a different generation. I think that's all it is.
And I think for some of us who may try to hold on to what we had to go through and what we grew up on, we will see, oh, this generation lazy. Why? Because they get it done quicker. You know, it's like you try to put your struggle on to the next generation instead of appreciating the advances that they have. Now, do we see things eye to eye? No. And that's a given. But some things, you know, it's like six in one hand, half dozen in the other. So I think that we need to look at the end goal and see if the product is better, or is it the same? Is it like, are we still saying, okay, we got to do it this way and we got to do it that way? Or are we saying, okay, I can appreciate how you got to the answer. Now let's see how we can make it better for the whole.
I agree with all the above that y'all said. I agree. Nick D said all generations struggle. And then his divinity to coach's statement, you know, most millionaires and billionaires aren't college educated. You know, if there are any, they're not the popular ones that we know. They're not the ones that we see every day. Most of them guys got certifications, or, you know, what have you, or put some stuff together in their mama garage, you know. But, you know, so I do agree on those things. I think when we're on this conversation, this is where I think it's unfair on the generation, is because we're taking the responsibility of what we see away from the parents and putting it on the generation, or we're putting it on the technology. Because it was my choice to sit my kids in a room and have them watch TV all day. It was my choice to put the tablet in front of them instead of doing things with them together. It was my choice to put them in front of that screen instead of making them go outside. You know, and I get it. We live in a day and age to where we're afraid of letting our kids go outside and we're not walking with them step by step. You know, I get that. But that falls on parents as well as it falls on whatever else other excuses we want to put that on. Are my kids a little more lazy than what we were? I don't even know if I would use that term. My kids don't like being outside too long if it's hot. Right? I used to send my kids outside and make them play outside. I go and check on them. They're sitting underneath the thing trying to get some shade. 5 minutes later, instead of playing. We used to rollerblade all over the place, ride bikes everywhere. We ride off together to the parks. You know, that's not the culture today. And so I think it is an unfair stereotype. I think when my son is here, I make him walk to the store by himself, down to the corner store, just to get him to getting used to, as he get older. Hey, you ain't got, your mom and daddy ain't got to hold your hand everywhere. Go to the store and get me this. Go to the store and get me that. And he's excited to go to the store. Where as to, I hate it when my mama told me to go to the store. Right? When I leave the house, I want to go do what I want to do with my friends. I don't want to go to the store. But so I think if they had if the culture was still the same, they would. So I don't think it's fair. It looked like you had something to say, Coach. Well, both of y'all look like you had something to say.
I do, but I don't think it's necessary. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, I just think we grew up in a different environment. We grew up as latchkey kids, and the environment within the house was different. So we didn't have I didn't have a lot of guidance. I didn't have a lot of stability. So the society and the trappings of it were the things that were raising me, and not my great grandmother who couldn't chase behind me. So there were things that I did that I wouldn't want my children to do. And then, come on now, we live in Texas. It's 900 degrees outside. We don't want to be outside, but we want them kids sitting outside playing, drinking out the water hose.
Yeah, I agree. We're gonna move on to point number 3. So the facts for benefits and challenges of practicing delayed gratification. Facts. People who practice delayed gratification often show higher financial stability, better health outcomes, and stronger relationships, according to studies. Delayed gratification is also linked to long-term goal achievement, such as fitness, education, and career achievements. The challenge, right? Delaying gratification can create stress, fear of missing out, or feeling of deprivation if not balanced well. So with that, the first question I want to ask on this one is, when does delayed gratification become counterproductive or healthy or unhealthy? I'm sorry.
I would say, because again, this is all about counterproductive when it works against me. I would say when it's rooted in fear. I will start there. I think all of those things that you just talked about are the expressions of fear. And also within the space of that, I start comparing myself to somebody else and seeing how far they progressed along and compared to how far I progressed along. So anything that is rooted in fear, anything that does a comparison, anything to where I am behaving in such a way to where it does not show that I am secure in the thing that I'm doing, because I'm more so focused on the end of the thing instead of the journey of the thing. I think all of those things can be true, right? It doesn't really matter what it is. If I am going back to what we talked about, if I'm investing in the stock market, do I need to go check it every day to see if there's, because of the change in the stock market, I need to move? You're behaving in fear. If you're doing that in fear, then you're not necessarily comfortable in the thing that you're doing. So I would say you may not necessarily need to do that, or get you a portfolio manager and let them manage it. Like, I think all of these things, exist within the space of, again, going back to what I tend to talk about all the time, the concept, the identity, the esteem and expression. When the expression is of a way to where it's not productive, then I got to go back to the concept, the identity, and the esteem, and understand where I am stopping it. So this thing that we're talking about now, specifically delayed gratification, it becomes unhealthy when it is rooted in fear, when I'm doing comparison and all those other great and unhealthy things.
And I think when it becomes a chore, as in it's tedious, when it becomes tedious, when the delayed gratification, you make it almost like, okay, a punishment. So if I got to look at it and see it as a negative, the gratification almost becomes like, hey, it ain't really worth it. I'm good. So I'm not looking at it as such. When it's fear based, if you don't, like, we like to almost threaten or scare tactic people into thinking that if you don't do this, like when people come to my door, well, if they come and they have a hailstorm again and this, that, and other, it's like they're trying to scare you into something that could be a benefit without allowing you to actually make that decision without that fear being pushed on you. So I think that when we look at the does it become counterproductive? Yeah, or unhealthy. Anything can become counterproductive and unhealthy when pushed on you in the wrong fashion.
I don't know. Every time I clicked, it kept going back on mute. Uh, I like that. I like that. I think anything that causes stress or anxiety, uh, long term, is unhealthy. Anything rooted in fear is counterproductive because I'm waiting not because I'm trusting the process. I'm waiting because I'm afraid to make a move, and I think that that's not a that's a fear. That's the wrong way of moving. I don't want to make the wrong move. I don't want to go the wrong way. I don't want to waste my money. We talked about the stock market. I'm gonna wait to jump in because I don't want to. Well, I remember it was years ago. Roland first mentioned, not tried to get me into, but first mentioned Bitcoins when Bitcoin was sitting at like $10,000. I was like, man, it's already at $10,000. I mean, I don't want to put my money in it and it goes the other way. Blah blah. That's as high as it's gonna go. Blah blah blah. And I said all that good stuff. You know, 6 months later, it went to $23,000. A few years later, it's playing around 75 and 100,000, right? And it's not, and that was that whole waiting to see was counterproductive. I'm waiting to see what. Either you're gonna play it or you're not gonna play it. Either you're gonna do it or you're not gonna do it. So I think the fear part is where the counterproductive, the unhealthy part for me is stress and anxiety too long, because something can be, not all stress is bad stress, but too much stress sometimes can weigh on your physical and mental. The next question in this topic was I really want to hear from these smart brothers. So, are there any strategies that can help the audience with committing to long-term goals?
I think when you commit to long-term goals, should have short-term, whether you can call them goals or whether you can call them check-ins or whatever you want to call them. A long-term goal does not work if you just focus on the end game of it. If you just focus on that, you should focus on little short marks. That way you can keep your head in the game, per se. You can have a sense of like, okay, I got a benchmark. When we used to run, like we would run, say 5 miles. I can't just say, okay, I'm gonna run 5 miles. I gotta see a goal and attain it at the 1 mile mark, at the 2 mile mark. Like, okay, so I know, okay, I'm still in this thing and I still got a little bit left. And I think that's how you have to be when it comes to goals. When you have to have some type of short-term motivation so that it can stimulate thought to let you know that, hey, I'm still in this thing and I can push till the end, to give you some type of vigor.
Interesting question. I love what Roland said. I would say any strategies that can help the audience with commitment to long-term goals. If you're looking at this on TV, point your camera right here, scan, right? I'm telling you, if you're on, it's on this side for me. It's on the other side. Whatever, man. It's right. I'm telling you, it's right here. Anyway, if you're on your phone, just look in the comment section. It's pinned at the top of the screen. You will never change your level of commitment until you find someone that will push you outside of your own comfort zone. You're always going to commit to a thing the way that you commit to the thing before. Whatever it was, it don't matter what it was. Whatever you committed to, you're going to have that same level of commitment, and regardless of whatever you do moving forward. So the thing that'll help you, scan.
I love it. I love it. There's nothing like having a coach in your corner. So I would recommend, if you are not a part of the community, or if you're new to the community or what have you, first of all, every week I think we should scan the QR code because there's always something good. So, but definitely tap in. There's testimonials in our chat of who has sought guidance and it has helped them along the way. So I'm I'm advocating for my big bro because it's tried and true, right? It's been tried and it's true. People still using it and still succeeding. So so shout out to having good coaching. Um, for for me, strategy. I'm because I kind of stuck right where Roland was is because sometimes delayed gratification, anything delayed, sometimes, and when we talk about anxiety, stress, and stuff like that, because you're waiting on the outcome, you're waiting to for the finish line, but you got to just trust the process, just go through it, step by step, and yes, celebrate each goal, each step along the way, celebrate it, But if you have a process, trust it, see it through, right? Um, And sometimes you don't get it on the first try, but take your notes. Know what you did wrong. To get feedback. Go at it again. But I think when you only look like Roland said, when you're only looking at the end, I tell people, man, sometimes the hardest part I hated doing the PT test on that 8 lap track because I can see where it ends, but I got to go around it again and again and again and again. I
That was
can't
the
stop.
best one.
I could not stand it
It was a
because
rubber track.
when I did the 1 mile tracks, I made markers. Get to this point. Get to this point. Get to this point. But when I saw that finish line, I wanted to rush. I wanted to run to that finish line. So when we got to that last stretch, I saw that last stretch. I can go. But sometimes we see this. We look towards the end and we start sprinting just to try to get to the end, and you run out of gas because the end was further than you thought. Just trust the process.
See, but what that is that's a sense of control, and you lost the ability to control it. Whereas you rather have a mile. So now in your head, you saying, hey, stress comes and all these things come because the delayed gratification ain't coming how you want it. And that's how we are in life. When it doesn't come how we want it, how we set it up, we're looking at it like, okay, I want this, it's not happening. So now it's out of my control, seemingly. So what happens? Now it becomes a negative.
And psychologically, before you even start the race, you already self-defeated yourself. So your score is not going to be as good as it could have been because I don't like this track.
I always passed.
It wasn't about pass or fail. I said not very good.
But I got all my hundreds was on the long was on. Yeah, it was actually the 3 mile track at Jackson was my best. The 3 lap track at Jackson NCO Academy was my favorite one. But whew, hey, let me see. I'm gonna do it. Let's go to the first question. I was advised that this is a good one, so let's put it out there. Why do you believe that delayed gratification is linked to enhanced financial decision, reaching health goals, and stronger relationships?
Believe that it can be because that's a two-sided coin. I think delayed gratification has two parts. Now, if used properly, it teaches you discipline, as I keep saying. So in everything, you need discipline if you're trying to progress. So I believe that if done properly, it can teach a form of discipline that works in all facets of life. It's not just in finance. It's not just in marriage. It's not just in this. So it becomes a life tool and not a one-off tool. I'm doing it this because. So I think that when done properly, it can help you reach your goals and build stronger relationships.
I think I kind of gave a response for this previously because it's more than just what I do. It involves the environment in which the thing I'm doing it in. So if we're talking financial decisions, my financial decisions are influenced by the economy. If we're talking health goal, my health decisions are influenced by the laws that govern my body, any type of medical concerns, whatever the case may be. If we're talking stronger relationship, it is governed by the laws that govern relationship and include the other party. So when you look at the delayed gratification in these different arenas, it is linked to it, right? Right. I'm not saying that small steps over the course of time doesn't matter. Like I love the discipline response, and I agree with that. But it's linked to it, but it may not necessarily be the deciding factor. It could be a contributing factor. And I think sometimes we look for the thing that is the deciding factor, but don't necessarily realize if we make enough changes on the things that are contributing factors, then you will realize that you have no other alternative but to make the right decision when it comes down to deciding factors.
I love it. Before it's too late, before I forget, shout out to our super chatters tonight. Thank y'all for your support, for your constant support in this community. Coach will let you know that every dollar y'all put into what we do goes right back into the product that you get every week. So we do appreciate it on behalf of the Empowering Perspective community and Coach himself. And I know he gonna reiterate later. So, but I just wanted to, as the host for tonight, I wanted to recognize you all. Yeah, I definitely you brought up the discipline. That's why I was gonna go, because I think delayed gratification is a discipline thing. That's why I believe the fear thing is what makes it counterproductive, as asked before. So the opposite of that, the proper way, when Roland said the right way to do it, is based upon discipline, right? I'm not holding off just because I don't want what is at the end. I'm holding off because the reward later is greater. I'm sacrificing temporal comfort for that long-lasting gratification at the end of seeing this thing through. And so I think when you start talking about like financial decisions, right? You know, when you're building savings, or when you're building IRAs, when you're putting money, when you're doing trust, when you're doing things like this, these are processes that takes time. And if you rush it, you miss details that are important to long-term growth, right? And so don't rush, take your time, understand the process, do some learning. I think one of the things that we miss when we talk about delayed gratification is sometimes it's good to take time to learn the thing that you're actually trying to get into before just jumping into it. Learning the process, learning the whys, learning the hows. And, you know, so this way, as you're going through the process, you're not just waiting for those small wins, you're actually hitting those small wins so that you can celebrate them. And I think that's why sometimes we jump into things too soon before we learn. And so we never hit those small wins. So we don't see them, or we don't even know what those small wins are. We don't know what those markers we should be looking for are. So I think that's the key to even when you talk about relationship. It got hard, so I quit. That's all right. You know, so when I look at delayed gratification, it's the ability to see a thing through. So I think that plays a major part in stuff like health, fitness, relationships, and wealth. So could be wrong. We're coming up. I really want to, I wouldn't be me if I didn't ask this last question and let these great brothers speak on this part before we go into our bittersweet. So my last question tonight, brothers, is how can delayed gratification enhance one's spiritual walk?
Thought I heard you click. My bad. I would say I keep it short. Gratification normally focuses on my flesh. It is generally my flesh that's looking to be gratified, and once I've subject myself to that, now I'm moving myself outside of the spiritual instructions that the scripture has given me. So now when I look at it, it's not so much I'm seeking to please my flesh. I'm seeking to please my Father. If I'm seeking to please the Father, and if I'm seeking to please the Father, then I am, what's the word I'm looking for? I am regulating my flesh. So it's not about the instant gratification. It's not about how I feel. It's not about this. It's not about that. It's about seeking to please the Father and only the Father in the things that I do.
And I'd say knowing the why you're doing whatever you're doing. Because when your spiritual walk has to be something that's tailored. It's not something that you just jump in and just go do whatever you want to do. So when you know the why, when you know, okay, I'm in this because I am a servant first and foremost. So now it tailors how you move. So my instant gratification is not, as Coach alluded to, about me gratifying my flesh. It's about how can I please the Father. And if that's my end goal, if that's my gain, that's my gratification point right there, then everything that I do will lead me to that point. So I think when you start to focus on that and say, man, what am I doing this for? Am I doing it because I was traumatized as a kid, or I was traumatized as a young parent, or am I doing this because this will enhance my growth in my walk? So when you focus on it like that, then you can say, okay, let me move forward in this, or let me find another way around it so I can do it properly so that I can move forward to my why.
I love it. I think instant gratification and intentionality is linked together when we're talking about seeing it through. And when we talk about our spiritual walk, it's so easy. I like that you went to the flesh, because the flesh tells us to do what we want to do now. YOLO statements like YOLO, you only live once. That's a flesh-like concept, right? Living your best life now. I know.
Yo, real talk. I was today years old when I learned what that means. I never knew that what it stood for. I'm sorry. I don't get out much.
Hey, Nick D, come get your mans. Come get your mans.
Wow.
At least I own it, man. Whatever.
Hey, you say, because I'd have kept that one to myself.
When you get a certain age, bro, you don't care what people think. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, look, Nick D, you're like, what?
I always thought it was dumb, but yeah.
So you ain't never too old to learn nothing. I'm trying to tell y'all.
Hey, you're right. And that's the process of life, continuing learning. Right? And so I think when we look at concepts like that, and even though I know we had a pastor, I'm not doing this tonight. I'm not doing this tonight. I know we had a pastor. I'm gonna say my part and I'm gonna get on, because we're gonna move on. Because one more person said they didn't know what YOLO meant. Lord, we're gonna have a prayer circle in a minute. Nah, I'm messing with you. So, you know, there was a prominent pastor wrote a book, living your best life now. And I thought that was the most counterproductive to biblical.
Thought that was Snoop. Nah.
No, he thought it was Snoop. No, that was your boy down there in Houston, right?
I know.
I think that's counterproductive to biblical context, right? To say, hey, living our best life now. You know, when the scripture teaches us, you know, for we suffer with him and therefore crucified with him and co-heirs, then we'll be glorified with him. But I think so much we want the glorification now. We want the wealth and riches now. I'm not knocking nobody that's making good money, but if that gets in the way of us seeking him first, do you not know that there's riches on the other end? And I think that's a concept that we miss sometimes. So when you talk about delayed gratification, okay, his divine did it. It's time for y'all didn't know what YOLO means. Lord bless your hearts. Roland, you the age, you knew what it meant, right? Okay. I'm just making sure, My bad.
I don't get out like Roland. I'm just saying.
Touche. You know, that's my DJ. Go D. Nah. But with that said, listen, and with all these don't know on YOLOs,
And then we just got finished saying, don't compare yourself to nobody. Get to the final thoughts.
I'm not comparing. I'm saying we go into our bittersweet moment, our final thoughts. Go on, roll the thingamajiggy. It's,
Delayed gratification, it strengthens your spiritual walk by teaching you or training you to trust in the Most High. It trains you in discernment and obedience, not just self-control. Don't focus on just the self-control without enhancing your spiritual walk. Because if you enhance your spiritual walk, the self-control will come. And obedience will be intentional and not an emotional thing. Sometimes we get caught up in emotion. Sometimes we get caught up in what the naysayers say or what somebody else has to say about something. Keep your mind on the end goal. And if the end goal is to please the Father, if the end goal is to do right by him and live righteously, then it's between you and him. It's your relationship. So focus on your first relationship, and it'll enhance every relationship thereafter.
Greatly appreciate this conversation. Love the energy, the back and forth. I think when we look at this concept of delayed gratification, one of the things we need to understand is that delayed gratification is just a very bunch of letters thrown together that says patience. That's all it is. Delayed gratification is patience. If we want to understand how to get patience, all we have to do is go to what the scriptures say. The scriptures say we take joy in tribulation, knowing that tribulation worketh patience. So if you want to get to the point of understanding, having a better idea of delayed gratification or developing patience, then if you're incorporating that into your prayer life, you should have the expectation of a tribulation is going to come about. That's okay. Take joy in tribulation, knowing that tribulation worketh patience. Patience experience hope, and hope maketh not ashamed, because the love of God is spread abroad in our hearts by the way of the Holy Spirit. So therefore, now we understand if I want to have patience, I need to be willing to go through something, so that something that I go through can get me to the point of having having more patience for the outcome of that thing. I think that's the key. That's the part that we all have to understand. Some of us are just too doggone impatient. I want my husband to show up tomorrow. I'm gonna start going out more because I'm looking for a wife. Maybe you need to just work on yourself and be that person that's relatable first, understanding some of the things that need to work within me. Once I allow that to work in me, then what I'll find is that some of these things can actually work through me. So that's the key. Delayed gratification is simply just patience. If you are impatient, it's okay. Get to the point of developing patience, but understand that tribulation is going to come to kind of strengthen that patience. And I'll land right there.
Man, I appreciate both of you brothers and everyone in the chat on this conversation. I was over here scrambling through my notes because Coach quoted every scripture concerning this topic that I had written down. But that just means, like minds, how can two walk together except we agree? So I'm looking at this and I equate as well the word patience with what we're doing. Right? Do not be so haste to get to the finish line. Take your time. What the scripture shows us when it's constant scriptures, the race is not given to the swift nor to the strong, right? He let us run with patience this race that is set before us, right? And for he that endureth unto the end shall be saved. And so So we understand that this is a principle. This is not just a business or relationship or finance principle. This is a mindset principle, and how we should walk with the Most High, how we should come together and partner with the Spirit. We have to be patient. At the end of the day, we're not going to see the kingdom until He returns. So why not do what He called us to do until He calls us home? So that's how I'm looking at this whole aspect, right? It's not just can I get this to benefit my bank account? How can I get this to benefit my soul? How can I use this to please the Father? And that's how we move forward. With that said, I'm going to thank everyone for coming out tonight, for joining us on this live. I know that it was rough getting out here after those who celebrate the holidays, after your holiday festives and hanging out with family, eating and sleeping and eating some more and going back to sleep. But you came out and you hung out with us, so we're appreciative. Always grateful to the coach here for allowing us this panel and this platform. Okay. I'm gonna look up at the screen and keep going. So, but if you are in this chat, go ahead and scroll through the chat. We see Crystal Everett and Lisa Key has been putting out some information for what we have coming up. Do we have? Are we doing the reframing?
Yes. So I'm glad you paused, slow down just a little bit. I want to kind of put out something little different. Tomorrow is the Voice of Reason's birthday, and we will be on the reframing the image of relationship tomorrow morning. So all y'all need to come out so y'all can sing happy birthday. Because listen, I might do a little something so I put some links in the chat and allow y'all to come up and do like a duet, quartet, whatever the case may be. So I'm just putting that out. Listen, I put her on the spot just now. She didn't know I was gonna say that. But yeah, I asked her earlier this month did she want to continue to do it, even though I know it was her birthday. And she was like, "Yep, we're gonna do it anyway." I'm like, so there it is. Tomorrow morning, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, reframing the image of relationships. You guys show up. And again, not just support the show, support the Voice of Reason. Again, she does a lot in the community. Greatly appreciate what she does as well. Yeah, that's it.
Yep. And with that said, before we meet again, Coach would have added another number to his age bracket as well. So shout out to Coach. And so when you up there singing your duet to Lisa, add Coach in your repertoire.
I think mine's close. Mine's closer to next Friday though.
It's closer to next Friday, but it's gonna be passed.
All right, man. Fine, you in.
I'm just saying. And Bible study, yes. She's keeping everybody on point. She said she ain't worried about the birthday. You show up to Bible study, she said. If there's anything else, gentlemen, as they say, if all hearts and minds are clear, thank you. We love you, and we'll see you tomorrow.